And I'm joined by TJ Lyle of the Georgia Thunderbolts. How you doing, man?
I'm all right, man. How are you?
Yeah, good for seeing you, mate. It's nice to have you back on after we spoke last time around with the debut album release, and now having you back on again. It's good to have you back, man.
Yeah, it's good to be here. It's been too long.
Has been, buddy. Like I say, first of all, happy belated birthday, man. I know you celebrated your birthday last Friday, so happy belated birthday for that. Um,
Thank you so
no worries. So last month, you guys released your brand new single, "Rise Above It All." Great response since we've been spread playing on the track, playing on the show. Great track. Where did the song come from in terms of where did you come from a writing point of view on it?
From a writing point of view, I think it was actually funny because Bristol was the one who come up with the guitar riff to that song. Actually, we've been writing and we had a bunch of our songs done and complete and getting ready to go into the studio, and we were needing that heavier punch song, kind of like the Lend a Hand, or like like on the B side of the first record, there was like Better Run from the Beast. So we needed something kind of like that, kind of uplifting and powerful and kind of packs a punch. So Bristol sat down, started playing that, and then he showed it to Riley, and then Riley started coming up with it, and they just started going and going and going. And by the time we had figured out the chorus, I had already had these lyrics written down. And I'm pretty sure that these lyrics came from an older song that I had written, but I just took them and twisted them and put
Yeah.
a new melody over them, and they worked perfectly. And yeah, that's really how it came to be, because that was one of those where we were in the room and jamming, and the song just came together.
Nice. Like say you have been working up on your follow-up album. Where are you guys with that? Is that all in the can now? Are you still tweaking it? Where are you at with that?
Well, it's ready to go. We're just waiting for the final touch-ups, and they'll be able to release it. I know the legal side of things has a few things to touch up on, and everything's done though. We'll be having some singles coming out. I'm not exactly sure when, but they'll be coming out soon. But the album is done.
Oh, nice. I mean, obviously, this time round, I imagine just from like following you guys on social media and that in the process of recording must have been when you were quite touring all over the shop. Did that mean that you were sort of doing recording in chunks, or did you manage to find a period of time where you were all
We would
done?
do in between. So we would like the first part of the record we started recording was, I don't want to say, it was last year. It was last year, 2023. In January, we had a tour with the band called Southall.
Oh yeah.
We had finished up that we had 2 days off. I remember in January, after we had played the first 6, 7 shows with those guys, and we were right around where the studio is. You know, it was in our line where we were going. It was in our route where we were going. So we stopped off for 2 days, stayed over, and we started recording. I think we probably knocked out 4 or 5 songs in those 2 days. Just kind of got the tracks down, and I had to come back and fix the vocals and stuff on it later. And we came back. It was kind of in sections though, but we knocked out probably about we stayed up there. It didn't take long this time. We stayed up there maybe 6 days total, and the album was done.
Okay, cool.
We were kind of on fire though, because I mean we've been playing so much, and
Hmm.
we were just in the groove, and we got in there and we were able to knock it out. And we really feel strongly about it though. But it was in between. It was in between touring and stuff like that when we were able to do it.
Oh, nice. I mean, all those miles you're talking about that you put on the clock, so to speak, like road miles and that. Do you feel like that's impacted the way you guys are now writing?
Oh, definitely, definitely. We've seen so much more. I mean, especially being out on the road with bands like, we've played with bands like, Deep Purple, and we toured with Blackstone Cherry, and Blackberry Smoke, Marshall Tucker Band, the Outlaws, and we've been hitting the road hard with those guys and the Southall guys, and we've seen so much more artistically. Like we've grown so much artistically that it's kind of hard to comprehend, because you're trying to remember every little thing when you're writing stuff down, and you can't. But we've had some fantastic times. I mean, really. And it's just, with me and Riley were talking about that the other day. He said if it all ended tomorrow, we've lived a life. So it's been great.
That's cool, man. I mean, like you yourself from like a lyric point of view, for me, has always been more of like, the storytelling side of lyrics and that side of it rather than being, just some lyrics are just lyrics and some are more of a storytelling, more biographical, that kind of thing. Has those kind of experiences then fed into the songs that you've not released yet? I appreciate it. You're not gonna be able to tell us too much because it's not been released yet, but
Yeah, I mean, I can tell you about that because some of these songs that I've written on this record have been some of my favorite. I still wonder where they come from. I mean, I know they come from God, but I mean, just the experience, man. I don't know. Some of these words, some of these melodies that come out that I've really forced myself to sit down and learn. I've listened to some of my favorite songwriters, like Chris Cornell and John Lennon and Frankie Miller, and I would sit and listen to him. And I was like, what would these guys sound like if they were from Georgia? What would they talk about if they grew up the way that I did from their perspective? And I try to put that all into a pile, and sometimes it gets overwhelming, but sometimes I come out with one, and it's like, that's pretty cool. And that's kind of how this one turned out too, is because I was listening to a lot of soul music, a lot of soul, and there's a track in particular on this one. It's a slower kind of ballad, kind of like a love song. But as soon as you'll hear it, you'll be like, okay, well, that was very soul influence.
yeah.
And I'm really happy about it, and I'm really happy with the way it turned out. I just can't wait to get it out.
Yeah, I bet. I mean, for me, like what hit me most about your debut when I first heard it, when I heard "Can We Get a Witness," it's exactly what you were just talking about. You had your heavier stuff, and then you had your lighter stuff. You almost had like a sliding scale of like what the Georgia Thunderbolts was, and some stuff was more heavy, some stuff was like you say, Virgin on the Country, some stuff was soul, and it was everything in between. Like, do you feel
Yeah,
like on this second album that either the scale's gone wider or it's gone deeper down those routes?
deeper and wider. The
Yeah.
things that are heavier, we've gotten heavier, and the things that are softer, we've gotten softer and more in depth lyrically and melodically. And it's still all around the same message as it was. It's all about you know it's all about love. It really, it's not about knocking anybody. It's not about putting anybody down, talking bad about anybody. It's trying to make people forget about the everyday problems of life. you know Coming from my perspective, because I don't know how somebody else feels. I just try to look at the positive side of things. Anybody's going to find something they don't like. That's fine. I mean, that's a given. But if you can just throw a little happiness out there every once in a while, maybe somebody can grab onto it.
But did you feel like the process had changed at all? Or was it similar process and you guys are just more experienced?
Yeah, in the experience part, yeah, I think it had changed because we had gotten together and songs weren't as tough to throw together when we were all together. Because the first one, it was like all around COVID. We were recording around COVID and everything, and it was a whole different mindset because we were like, "Oh my God, this has never happened before. What do we do?" And we were kind of scared, just like everybody else. We're like, "Oh well, what are we going to do?" And that came from that point of view. And this one was kind of like everything's just open back up and everybody's back to normal. And people still worry about that kind of stuff. So let's try to take their mind off of that and put it somewhere else. And artistically, and the camaraderie hadn't changed at all. you know Maybe I'll sit down and write a song and then take it to the guys and we'll get in the room, knock it out. Maybe we'll go in, the guys will have some music, we'll sit down right there on the spot and knock it out. Nothing has changed from the way we make music. It's either or. They'll come up with the music and we'll get together, and I'll throw out the melody, I'll throw out the lyrics, and there's the song. That's how it comes. After we all start playing off of each other, it turns into a Thunderbolt song.
So it's still a very organic process with you guys then. It's not sharing files back and forth. It is that more natural thing again, like you say, getting in a room and jamming it out and going for it.
Yeah, it's very old school, man. We get in there and we talk about it, and we just get to playing. We just play. We sit and play until something starts to click, and we're like, oh, well, that'd be really cool. Like the song that we had music for years. I mean, years. We've had it for probably 6 or 7 years, and I never could come up with a serious melody to it because it wasn't happening. But it took time to finally sit down and think about what I wanted to talk about in that song. and it turned out to be one of my favorite songs I've ever written. I'll tell you what it's about. It's a cool story. It's about an old gunslinger
Okay,
uh,
cool.
out west, and the music behind it, man, it's real eerie. So it's got this real. I can't wait for you to hear it.
Oh man, I mean, like I can see like how much you're buzzing for this music to get released, TJ, man. It's obviously really exciting for you guys. I mean, I can't wait to hear it. Can we get when this was a top album of the year for me? Was it 2021, wasn't it? That was released.
It
So
was.
yeah, it was my friend Ryan who's been on the Vibe podcast you went on as well.
Yeah.
Who got me into you guys. He interviewed you and he said, Lee, he knows what I'm like. He knows we love very similar music. So I know if Ryan says, you need to check this out, I know I need to check it out. And he sent me links to you guys, and I was like, oh man, this is cool. And then it wasn't that long after that I managed to speak to you first time around. So I'm really excited to hear this album coming out, man. It looks like you and the guys are just as excited to get it released and get it out there.
Yeah, we are. We're so pumped. We can't. We've been playing the same stuff for like going on like 7, 8 years, and we're just like, oh, come on, somebody. They got to hear the new stuff. They got to hear the new stuff.
Well, not long after I spoke to yourself, I had Richard Young on the show for a chat about all things, Kentucky Headhunters and everything else. And obviously, he was singing your praises madly. Is Richard still involved with you guys? Is he still?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. He's still here. He's still making moves for us, man. He's the sixth Thunderbolt, so he's really done a lot for us, big time.
Yeah, he seemed to like when I said mentioned to him that I'd just spoken to yourself. He was made up, and he seemed to be really excited for helping you guys out, man. He seemed just as invested as you are seeming now.
And he has been from the start, man. He's all about it. It's just he's got so much going on all the time now with his band, with Blackstone and then us too. And he helps a ton of people out. But he's such a solid dude, man. He's become family to us because he's done so much for us. It's unreal. It's unreal.
That's really cool, man. You're talking about live things and trying to push it out there more. You recently got announced being addition to the roster for Tres Hombre Tour over
Yeah,
UK and Europe. Does that mean we're finally going to see you on UK soil a bit more?
I believe so. I
Yeah,
believe so.
that makes
Yeah.
me happy, man.
Yeah, we're ready. We're ready, man. That first run we did over there with Blackstone Cherry was really eye opening. I mean, it was life changing, and we're just ever since we got on the plane to come back, we've been itching to come back. So, and we wanted to wait till we got new music out so we could play both of our albums in depth. We could play if we were to do headline shows, we could stretch it out. We could do half and half. We could do our new album. We could do our old album. It's just for the people who haven't heard us, we could do the older stuff, and for the people who have heard us, we could do the old stuff and the new stuff. So we're trying to break it up.
Yeah. So you're better at flying than Richard is then.
Yes, yeah, yeah. He's not the world's best flyer.
That's him. No, he's a good dude. But it seems like you had a lot on. I saw the new T-shirt design. That was insane. That T-shirt design I saw on socials the other week, man.
Yeah, I think it was somebody from Italy who did that.
All right.
Yeah, don't hold me to that, but I'm pretty sure it was Italy or Spain. God, he's fantastic though.
Great artist. It was insane.
Yeah, yeah, he's incredible. The stuff that he comes up with. He did a poster for us too. And we're like, holy cow, this is fantastic. Okay, let's see if he would be cool with making a shirt for us. And he comes back with that. It's like, wow, wow.
Did he get in contact with you initially then and said like I've done this, or was it an artist that you found online?
I'm not too sure. I think we had done work with him before.
Oh, okay.
In some way, shape, or form, we had been in contact with him before. And like I said, he had made that poster, and we were like, okay, well, let's see what he comes back with. And sure enough, he knocks it out of the park. I mean, it's fantastic.
Nice one, man. Nice one. Like you're saying, the album's ready to go. You got the legal side of which we know can obviously take some time because that's the nature of the legal side of things.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you have any sort of rough time scale when you're hoping this to be released, whether it be the fall or the winter or?
It should be, I'd like to say getting closer to fall, maybe late summer,
No.
maybe late. And we got some really cool songs and they're really magic songs on there. I think that really relate because a lot of the songs that were written on there were written. I do a lot of writing in the winter,
Mm.
And it's something about it. And I've talked to Richard about this, and he agreed with me. It's something about, anybody can sit down and write a song, but it's when I sit down and try to write a song, I try to find something that it relates to with what's going on in the moment. And a lot of this stuff was written in the wintertime,
Okay.
because that's when we have a lot of downtime, and we can sit and really kind of unwind, spend time with family, and then when the family goes, you can kind of go back and be like, oh, certain emotions spark certain influences.
Yeah, of course.
And like I said, a lot of this stuff was written in the wintertime. And that's probably my favorite time of the year to kind of sit back and reflect on what did we do this year, and a lot of cool songs come out of that.
That's cool, man. So you're more like you say, writing from a kind of reflective period rather than writing, say, like in sound check or whatever during on the road.
Yeah, definitely. This stuff especially. I remember there's one on there. It's a piano ballad. It was written during COVID,
Oh,
actually. Yeah, this song I wrote this song on a piano during COVID, and it's just a really cool song. It come out, and I was like, wow, I didn't know I could do that. That's really cool. It's one of those where it starts coming, and you start talking, and you start singing, and all of a sudden the whole song just starts coming out, and you're like, oh, okay. Well, this has got to be something. I'm going to send it to the guys, and sure enough, it wound up on the album. And I just can't wait for everybody to hear the new record. I feel like it shows so much growth and maturity in our playing and lyrically and melodically, and just growth as a band, because when we play the songs at sound check before everybody gets in the venue, we're just like, oh my God, I cannot wait to play this for people.
nice. Have you road tested any of the songs live in the more recent shows or anything?
No, no, we haven't. We've just kind of been keeping them under our hat. We do sound check them though. We do sound check them, and a lot of the people that like work in the venues and stuff, they'll come up and be like, "Oh, I really like that song. Are you going to play that song?" It's like, "No, we can't play it yet. Can't play it yet." But no, we're super excited about it. God, I wish we could play it. I wish we could just have a little show where we could just sit down and play it to a crowd and see what they thought.
Nice, man. That'd be cool. I mean, it's got to be nice to have that kind of feedback from the people and staff in the venues and that while you're just because they're under
Yeah,
no obligation to say, "Oh, this is great." They're not necessarily fans; they're just working in the show for their so for them to like give that positive feedback's got to be pretty cool.
yeah, it means the world too, because you can do something and put it out there, and then it absolutely fails, and nobody will ever tell you anything. They won't say they like it, they won't bat an eye. But if you play one that nobody's ever heard, and they don't know you at all, and like you just said, they're just there to work and to do the job, and they walk up to you and they're like, "Oh, that's a really good song," and I'm like, "Oh wow, well it's we gotta play this song."
Absolutely, man. So you're talking there about the album coming forth and everything, the songwriting process. Did any songs like we were talking earlier about the sliding scale of your stuff, some stuff being more like the softer side, somewhere in the middle, or really heavy. But did any songs like dramatically change in the writing process where you thought it was going one way, and then when the other boys came along, or the boys had some music and you put your thing on it, and it completely morphed?
Yeah, the soul song I was telling you about, because the way that I had written the song sounded like I don't know how, an old Otis Redding song, let's say, for an example. And then when the guys got a hold of it, it turned into it's almost like Otis Redding meets Buck Owens. I mean, really, it's very spectrum, because all of our influences are very different. Because I mean, the song's got some sick baritone guitar, and I'm playing these real jazzy chords on the acoustic guitar, and it's real. I mean, it just two opposite ends of the spectrum met on that song, and it was really magic.
That's cool. That's nice when you hear that. I mean, like I say, yourselves, and naturally, the George Thunderbolt sound is going to be an amalgamation of like all your collective influences. But like
Yeah,
you guys have got all quite sporadic influences in terms of you're all into, you've got your common denominators, absolutely. But you're all like a lot of different things as well. So it's got to be
yeah,
really interesting to see that the boys take that if you bring a song to them or if they bring a song to you, and obviously it's vice versa. But just to see that different angle coming in from where you were going to go with.
it's really special though to see something like that, because when you hear something a certain way, you can't. It's really hard to hear it another way, and then when somebody else puts a part on it, you're like, oh wow,
Yeah.
wow, that really changes things. That really makes this really universal and not just to one audience, one selective audience. It makes it really universal to as a whole. And sometimes you can't see that when you're working on it by yourself and you're set in your own zone. But when you get somebody else's input on it, then you're like, then you start to see reason. You're like, okay, well, this makes sense.
That makes sense to move forward. So, you know, like I say, you've been doing some cool live shows lately. We were talking about it a little earlier before we saw hit record as such, but you've done some good live shows all across the year and all that. But most recently, in fact, like this year, you've done some shows with Blackberry Smoke very recently, like last week or so. How were they? They looked like they were incredible, man.
Oh, it was fantastic. You know, it's always good to see Charlie and Paul and Richard, and Ritt's no longer with us, which really sucks. He was always really, really good to us, man. All those guys have always been fantastic to us, and we go back with them a pretty good ways. Because of Richard. Richard was the one who really got us hooked up with Blackberry, and Richard was the one who got us hooked up with Blackstone Cherry, and all these little collective agencies and stuff that run together. You realize it's a really small world when you start getting into the touring side of things.
It is absolutely.
And everybody runs into each other more than once, and you kind of build those relationships with people. So it's always good to see those guys. Always good to see them. And the show's been fantastic. They're excellent as always, and they're just they have a real cool sound, man, because they got like this country thing and like this rock thing. And when we come out there, we're rock. We'll come out there, we're a rock band, and their fans accept us. And that, I think that's really cool because, Blackberry's got that really fantastic audience.
Yeah.
It's like one big family. And, for them to open their arms and accept us and actually clap for us when we get done, it makes us feel really good. Like we're doing something. We're ready to play new music.
Yeah, I bet, man. Like you say, like Blackberry, I've go back a little bit with them since they first came over to the UK and stuff, and they always had like a really cool vibe. It's really nice to see that they're continuing, paying tribute to Brett, continue with obviously because Brett was one of the founders and everything. And I was when he passed, it's just as a fan, I was obviously saddened that he passed, and I lost my dad to cancer, so I was kind of in a, I can not it's different scenario, but I can appreciate where his family must be sitting. So, it's something, but to see them that they're still going to, continue and keep playing the music that Brett wrote with them and keep continuing that legacy, I thought was really cool. And it must have been a really hard decision for them to make as well.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And Kent, he's a fantastic drummer. I mean, he's really doing a fantastic job playing that, and he's really just fitting in with the guys. And it's got to be hard for him too. I mean, really, I couldn't imagine stepping into something like that, but he's doing a superb job. I mean, he's just there, he's playing, he's enjoying, he's happy, and he's doing a fantastic job.
That's really cool, man. So what does the rest of the year hang out for yourselves then, man, other than obviously pushing the album? Are there any things that we've not sort of covered that you got your eyes on?
Hopefully coming back to Europe. Love to go back to Europe. That would be wonderful. I mean, I know we just got signed to the new agency, the Tres Hombres, and we got put on Intrepid also with Rick Booth. So, and Robert John the Wreck is also on that. So they're over there a ton. And we love those guys too. We've played with them so much, and we've become really good friends with those guys. We met the keyboard player before he was in the band.
All right.
Yeah, we played Sturgis, South Dakota, Jesse James Dupree from Jackal's Festival out there.
Yeah.
And we met Jake, and we took up with him, and he hung out with us every night out there until we had to leave. We come to be friends with Robert John the Wreck, and there he is playing piano. And we're like, oh my God, Jake, what's up?
They say it's a small world, mate.
It is, man. And we were in South Dakota, and then I think we seen him in North Carolina. We were like, oh, wow. Okay. All right. It is a very, very small world.
Nice one, man. Well, JJ, thanks for your time, man. It's been great to catch up with you, dude. Hopefully you'll come into the UK before the year's out, and I'll get to catch you guys on UK.
Yeah. Absolutely. You got to come hang out with us, man.
Yeah, absolutely, man. I'd love that. It'd be great. That'd be absolutely great. And be nice to see you boys properly and have things. So yeah, thanks for your time again, man. At the
Yeah.
at the beginning of the interview, I'm going to play "Rise Above It All" with it being the the new single. But what song of yours would you like us to play at the end of the interview? Appreciate. Can't play anything off the new album, but what song of yours would you like us to play of "Can We Get Witness"?
Looking for an old friend. That's probably the good one.
Yeah.
I like.
All right, man. Well, thanks for your time, TJ, dude, and we'll speak to you soon, man. And yeah, like I say, hopefully I'll see you before end of the year, buddy.
Sounds good, man. Take care.
You too, man. Take care of yourself.